But first, it's time to get ready to say, I told you so. And I don't mean I told you so. You know, Scott Morrison would kill the Liberal vote at this election and the Liberals perhaps needed a new leader. No, what I mean is this. This is when you put down the markers, the predictions, so that when the Albanese Labor government turns out to be a dud, you know, fails the big challenges, you can then say, I told you so. It was that obvious. And more to the point, you can then say, shame on the people, particularly the journalists who pretended Labor was fit to govern. And I say that because the two latest polls today show the Liberals headed for a train smash. News poll shows Labor increasing its lead after preferences to a big 8-point margin, 54% to 46%. And the Ipsos poll was even worse for the Liberals. Labor ahead 57% to 43%. This is landslide stuff. Now, you know, you might reach for a little straw, you know, and hope, well, these polls exaggerate Labor's lead. For one, these are national figures. In the battleground seats that will fall, you know, one way or the other, we're told the battle is tighter. Okay. Two, you might think, well, you know, there's a lot of voters who are scared to say that they'll vote for Scott Morrison with all this anti-Morrison hate stuff in the media. But let's not kid ourselves. The Liberals are in a world of pain. And this is extraordinary when you think of how weak the Labor leader is. He's clearly not a big thinker. He isn't on top of the details of even his own policies. But the kind of people who are actually likely to vote out the Liberals, you know, in rich seats like Kooyong and Goldstein in Melbourne or North Sydney, you know, ABC type seats, they might not even know just how badly Albanese has stuffed all this up. You take, for instance, his stuff up on the details of his own National Disability Insurance Scheme last Thursday.
No, Mr Albanese, what are the other 5 points, Mr Albanese?
We will put people, it is all around the theme of
Mr Albanese,
putting people,
saying you are across your brief.
We will put people,
the 6 points
we
of your
will
policy?
put people at the centre of the NDIS.
Now, if you're the kind of urban left-winger who listens to the ABC and reads The Age, Sydney Morning Herald, you know, never the Murdoch media, you might never even have heard of Albanese being clueless about the very policy he just said he was proud of. Now, on the ABC's 7:30 Current Affairs show that night, not a word. On the ABC's The Drum that night, not a word. In the Age newspaper the next morning, not a word in the news reports, and only a dismissive reference in a column. In the Sydney Morning Herald, barely mentioned. And if you'd somehow heard that Albanese couldn't remember his 6-point plan to fix the NDIS, other ABC staff were telling you, well, this whole thing's just a dirty journalist gotcha, a nasty trick. It was just a gotcha question, an obscure detail, complained Richard Glover. Fellow ABC presenter Sarah McDonald wondered what kind of dumb question would come next, the angle of a rainbow. And the ABC science reporter thought that asking a Labor leader to explain his own policy just made journalists look bad. Now, to me, it's self-evidently dumb to treat a Dorothy Dix question, hey, Mr Albanese, tell us about your fantastic big policy, as just a tricksy gotcha. But also note the hypocrisy here. Back when Tony Abbott was fighting election against Labor's Kevin Rudd, all these same media outlets treated it as a huge bit of news when someone else forgot their own 6-point plan. Except the person who forgot those 6 points wasn't the party leader, the man who okayed that policy. It was just some young schmuck called James Diaz, who was just some Liberal candidate no one had ever heard of.
6-point plan to make sure that we do stop the boats.
6 points, could you run through them for us?
Well, I can run through all the details of the points, but look, the main thing is...
The 6 points, the 6 points.
Under Kevin Rudd, the boats...
The 6 points. Turn back the boats?
Sure. Look, here's the thing. The boats started under Kevin Rudd.
And the 6 points are?
Well, one of the points would be, the key point would be stopping the boats where safe to do so.
Oh, how all those same media outlets laughed back then. The Sydney Morning Herald and The Age thought not knowing all 6 points was huge. They hounded Diaz and jeered that he was hiding And the ABC laughed that Diaz was now staying mum on Abbott's border policy, and it sent someone to try to catch him out all over again.
Hello, Mr. Diaz. We thought we'd just give you a chance to redeem yourself. Do you want to run through the 6 points?
What do you think the chances are here? Do you think they've been hindered at all by what happened?
Mr. Diaz, what are the 6 points to stopping the vote?
Do you want to just have a chance to redeem yourself and run through the 6 points, Mr. Diaz?
In fact, years later, the ABC was still including this brain fade of the Liberals' James Diaz as one of the great election stuff-ups of all time. Fast forward to today, when a Labor leader, not some Liberal candidate, has exactly the same brain fade over his 6-point plan. This is not a great election stuff-up. No, this time it's a non-issue. And this time it's a nasty gotcha by terrible journalists. Really, if you want a perfect example of how the ABC in particular protects Albanese, or promotes the so-called climate independence for that matter, this is it. But that means, of course, that the Albanese Labor government that we'll get in 2 weeks, almost certain, will be nothing as good as much of the media is now pretending. And it's not just Albanese. I mean, look at his team. Instead of Josh Frydenberg as Treasurer, you're going to get Jim Chalmers, who falsely predicted that the JobKeeper scheme was being ended too soon instead of too late. Instead of Peter Dutton as Defence Minister, you're going to get Richard Marles, who sent his speech on China to the Chinese ambassador to check. You'll get Christina Keneally and Penny Wong, and a fool like Mark Dreyfus as Attorney General. Sanctimonious. Now, it's true that Labor also has talent. The very capable Michelle Rowland, very level-headed, Tanya Plibersek. But this is not going to be a government stacked with talent. And whoever wins, the challenges ahead are huge. Massive debt, rising interest rates, low productivity, threat of China, on and on. But you look at Labor's policies, there's nothing there to tackle this. And add one more thing. Labor has, I think, won this campaign by vilifying Scott Morrison as the Prime Minister who wouldn't take responsibility, wouldn't even hold a hose in the fires. By the way, I wonder, did anyone ever see a single Labor MP hold a hose in those fires? But Albanese suggested under him it's all going to be sweet again. You know, wages are going to go up, your cost of living down, and he's going to take charge of everything that's going wrong in your life. In fact, he'll even have a helicopter on your roof the second that your house floods. Except if there's one thing clear from last night's terrible, shouty debate on Channel 9 last night, Anthony Albanese can't actually deliver, and he knows it. And that's why he last night refused the guarantee that wages would rise faster than prices under him. So here's my prediction. This is going to be a government that's going to really struggle to make life better for you. An Albanese Labor government is going to really struggle to contain China. It's really going to struggle to keep electricity prices down. And frustrated by all that, I reckon it's going to do the purely symbolic things that the media loves, really try much harder on them. Reconciliation stuff that actually divides us, and global warming policies that don't actually change the climate. It's going to be a government that disappoints you, and it's going to be all at sea. And the only people who'll be surprised are the people who trusted the ABC.